Hello everyone. I'm so glad to see a room so full of people. JK, it's still early. It's still early. Yeah, today we're going to talk about UX, multi-chain UX, and multi-chain accessibility in particular. A few words about myself. I've been doing marketing for about longer than I care to admit, actually. And the last decade I have been focusing on crypto marketing. I've made it a point to become as technical as I could be, but I'm not a technical person. Please keep that in mind when you're asking your questions. This is my QR code if you want to connect with me personally. There's going to be another QR at the end to connect with my company, which is Neon EVM. I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we go in my presentation. I'm going to start with a quote that I particularly like by our CCO, our Chief Commercial Officer, Davide. Imagine a world where you have separate internets for all of the countries. So you have one internet for Japan, another one for France, another one for USA, another one for Romania, and they don't talk to each other. So your emails are not being sent cross-country. Social media is confined to your nation, and global commerce is just a billion-dollar innovative dream stuck in walled gardens. And that's exactly where blockchain is today. And also, if you are from North Korea, you don't even have to imagine that you're living that day to day, I guess. So this is where we are today when it comes to interoperability between blockchains. We've got more than 2,000 chains. Out of them, about 300 are active, so that these are chains that have some activity on them or some money locked in. The main players are competing for the same rather small-ish pie. So we're all competing for the same liquidity and for the same attention. Whether we're talking Ethereum, Sui, Solana, Ton, whichever network you want to name. And there's also a bunch of EVM compatible networks, which kind of makes things a little bit better, but not quite. And that's a 3.5 trillion dollar market with approximately 114 or 115, I think today, TVL locked in DeFi. And that translates to a huge market fragmentation that botches the UX and spoils it for everybody. And it means that we're operating with siloed ecosystems that, again, do not talk to each other, do not interact with each other, and that slows down the innovation. Which, again, ironic, given how blockchain is one of the fastest developing industries, but still. This is where we are today, and this is why we're talking about multi-chain, though, because there are the signals that people are using multiple chains, and they want to use multiple chains. And again, blockchain is for the same 17 people that jump from a protocol to protocol, but we want to get more people in. We want to attract normies and convert them to the dark side. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And at the same time, even though people are trying to use different networks, the majority of the activity is across a couple of them, basically. We've got Ethereum, which is still the big blockchain daddy. We've got Solana, and then we have everyone else. So this prompts the question: why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like if we have such big fragmentation, why does it matter? Well, because, as I said, Ethereum is still responsible for more than half of the blockchain activity. So whether we like it or not, we need to make stuff EVM compatible. We just need to, it's not a matter of do we or do we not. It's a matter of like how quickly can we make it happen. Because the EVM compatibility, it enables smooth interactions between the blockchains, not just for the users, but also for the developers who can easily and quickly build across different chains. It brings the users that sense of familiarity and that sense of security of like, hey, I feel confident enough to do stuff on Ethereum, on chain, so I can go and do that on Solana as well. So that leads to increased user adoption, and overall, it's good for the whole ecosystem and for boosting the entire ecosystem and like making everybody play together in the playground, basically. There are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of challenges. It's not like we're just going to snap the fingers and things are going to happen. There's a bit of a architectural mismatch across, especially the major players. Developers need to learn new toolings and new programming languages as they go from chain to chain to chain, and that's incredibly annoying. We do have a lot of security and trust assumptions that come with that, and there's also the matter of feature interoperability. Because of that architectural mismatch, a lot of features that are available and possible on Ethereum, for example, will not be possible on Solana. And that, again, is an issue when you have an already working dApp, for example, on Ethereum, and you want to port it to another network. Are there workarounds? Can we solve these inefficiencies? Yes, kind of, some of them. Are these the most elegant solutions that we can have? No, I would not say that. And how do we solve this? And this is the part where I talk about Neon EVM a little bit and how, I'm allowed to show a little bit, I guess. Neon EVM is a Solana network extension, which is basically a Solana program on that it's not a bridge, it's not a layer 2, it's just, we are calling it a network extension. We execute EVM bytecode within the Solana runtime. We use Neon and Sol for gas. Compute units are consumed, and the state of Solana accounts is stored. And we leverage native Solana system calls. So this way we basically, we tackle the architectural mismatch by basically, sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Simulating is the word that I was looking for, simulating transactions off-chain so that we can apply EVM logic onto Solana. I've put here a little technical diagram. If you're interested in the technical part of things, reach out to me after the presentation, but I didn't want to go too deep into the technical part of Neon. I just want to basically address the way we fit in within the UX part of things. And what you can do with Neon EVM, if you're an EVM developer, is basically port your project to Solana without having to learn Rust, without having to dive super deep into Solana's architecture. You plug it in, and it basically works. Sometimes. Most of the times. No, I'm kidding. It works. And why we're doing that? Because at the end of the day, interoperability is what makes things talk to each other, what makes different chains talk to each other. But it's the compatibility that aligns the experience. And again, I'm talking about the experience of the developers, I'm talking about the experience of the end users. And compatibility is what shapes that feeling, and that gives people that familiarity and that confidence to jump from a chain to a chain. Because the real cost of bad UX is higher than we can expect, actually. For users, that means that providing users with inconsistent experience means that they say, screw that, I'm not doing that, this is too hard for me to even care. So they drop off. For companies and projects, that means that they need to invest in more customer support, tech support, people who are explaining everything to the users. For developers, that means fatigue, and again, I'm not doing that, this is too hard, what's the point of that? And these things are all avoidable. They are avoidable because at the end of the day, if we allow users to use different dApps across different chains with the same wallet, part of the problem is solved. If we enable seamless bridging, solves part of the problem. Seamless means success. And that's how we get there, through compatibility. Sorry. Of course, there are more challenges. It wouldn't be me if I don't point out any potential pitfall. But we do have multiple heterogeneous proof of consensus mechanisms, like proof of work, proof of history, proof of stake. There is no standard, there are no standards when it comes to tokens, and that's also an issue sometimes. There are so many diverse network protocols that we need to consider where we're porting apps from one chain to the other. There's data inconsistency that we need to address again, and then wallets, universal wallets, most of all. The solution is a UX-first approach. Instead of thinking, hey, how can I work this? How can I make this work on Solana? We need to ask ourselves, how can I make this work, period. Keeping the wallet experience consistent is one of the ways that we can do that. Unfortunately, we're seeing more and more wallets adopting this approach and enabling access to multiple networks. Prioritizing liquidity access is another way we can do that. Avoiding code rewrites or requiring minimal code adjustments is another way we can do that. We can also solve these challenges by matching transaction speed and transaction costs. We can deploy on new chains like Neon EVM, hashtag sorry, not sorry. And we can use the same familiar onboarding journeys for users. If your boss asked you, hey, what did you learn from this presentation at Ethereum Cluj? I've made it easy for you. These are, these are the key takeaways that you should take from my presentation today. EVM compatibility is incredibly important because it lowers the deployment and onboarding friction. It is UX and bridges that we should be focusing on when talking about multi-chain deployment. You can launch non-EVM chains on non-EVM chains with tools like Neon. And yeah, this is already real without the need of sacrificing experience. And this one is for your Twitters, if you just want to do that. But, you know, it is, when we talk about compatibility, we think about the code. We think about, you know, the nitty-gritty, the everyday stuff. But if we take a step back and look at the bigger picture, the compatibility boils down to the trust of the end users and the people who are going to be using our dApps, to the efficiency of our development teams, and to the growth velocity. So yeah, the real win is not just multi-chain support, but multi-chain accessibility. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'm not going to take more of your time, but if you want to connect with Neon EVM and learn more about what we're doing, please do that. There's a QR code leading to our link tree. Not very decentralized, but you know, it is what it is. It's easy. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Vanina. And breaking the silos of every EVM is just amazing. So, and again, thank you for coming in. And please do connect with her. Even though Linktree is not on chain, it is still Linktree. So we have one question that just came in. Just a thought. This comes from Blockchain Miner 88. Can cross-chain UX ever feel seamless without giving up decentralized or relying on middlemen?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I would say not right now. Not right now. If you take a step back and look at the wider picture, I don't think that we're talking about like a single project that is truly decentralized. At the end of the day, we are all relying on the servers and Google services and all of that kind of like makes us centralized as we are. We're still all relying on Twitter for marketing and comms and Discords and all of that, where we have very little control. And then when you come to like the more granular points of access, again, you know, some decentralization is possible, but trade-offs have to be made. Trade-offs have to be made. I don't think that it's truly possible to have a completely 100% decentralized infrastructure for dApps today, especially for dApps that are talking to other chains. Is it ideal? No. Is it the reality of the situation? Yes. Are we working to change that? Yes, hopefully more projects are involved into that, are getting into that paradigm and that discourse to make sure that we do achieve that true decentralization. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Well, yeah, as you saw, when everything is built on a house of cards, you saw what happened a few weeks ago with Google. The internet completely broke down because everybody was using one system instead of actually having multiple backup systems, right? Yeah. And how are you working on that over time to get that into UX?
Well, again, we're working on infra. There are a lot of projects that are kind of like providing infrastructure that is, if not truly decentralized, then a lot more decentralized. And projects that come to mind here are deep-in projects that are tackling decentralized compute, for example, or projects like 00, who are trying to optimize the actual physical infrastructure for the blockchain. And yeah, they are getting a lot of support and a lot of attention from the industry, not just by, not just from the projects that intend to use them, but also of other projects and companies that are just like, hey, this is good for the industry. Let's just do it. The great thing about the blockchain industry is that it's still young enough for us to care. Unlike Web 2, where we're like, oh, it's the bottom line and nothing else, it's us against our competitors. In blockchain and in crypto, we're still kind of working together. So that's the beauty of it, and I would say that this is one way in which we can get there.
Yeah, we always have the ones working together, and then the few that are just outsiders, right?
Yeah. I don't think you can avoid that, though.
No. So I want to ask, do we have any questions down from the audience today? I know you might have something burning on your heart. There we go. Dan is right down here.
Hey. So I loved your little anecdotes with EVM compatibility and patching things up. So obviously EVM compatibility, it's cool stuff to have. But also liveness and availability is UX, very UX related. So would that be strictly related to Solana run chain?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand your question completely. Could you please rephrase that?
So in order to have good UX, you need to have the chain that you have your app built on top. It needs to always be, available live.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
okay, got it.
Not have stop of service.
Yeah, okay. So this is a dig into Solana. I get that. Yeah, Solana actually used to have a lot of availability issues, and you are completely correct that yes, for that UX to exist and for that UX to be great, it needs to be there. It needs to be accessible. Like if you have. Solana has made a lot of improvements when it comes to that. So yes, I understand your criticism, and I kind of would have agreed with it a few years ago. But with the changes to like the approach to Solana, adding more execution clients and gaining more attractions, it has been a while since, I don't want to jinx it, but it has been a while since Solana was down. So I would say that this is, you're right, that it is a concern and it has to be mentioned and it has to be taken into consideration. But at the end of the day, if we want to be realistic, that's not really much of an issue today.
It's basically everybody takes baby steps once in a while to grow up.
I mean, at the end of the day, again, that's a while ago. There were a couple of major centralized exchanges that went down because there was an outage with their Amazon Web Services accounts, and they were unavailable for more than 24 hours. Is that something that happens in Web 2? Yes. Is it something that happens in Web 3 even more often? Yes. Are we working to change that? Yes.
That's the answer. So it's taken into account.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, taking everything into account. Well, do we have more questions from the audience today? I also want to say thank you so much for joining us and explaining us the depth of EVMs.
Thank you for having me.